Good morning, one and all. We're here in Chatham on the deck of Sonstad-Kind, formerly the Greater Manchester Challenge, namesake for the Greater Man Challenge, and we're going to give you a little tour of the boat and see just how much work we've got to do.
That's the front little unicorn bit of the boat.
Great. And we want to put some nets underneath it so we can like dangle down.
Some nets coming down on the front here could be quite nice for extra chill space.
Chill space and hanging out with the dolphins.
And mermaid gazing.
We're going to take you on a little excursion from the front of the boat to the back of the boat, and then we're going to go inside the boat and we're just going to quickly rattle off all the stuff that we can see as people that have never sailed before, that have done a bit of research that we need to be getting on with.
And also who've never been on a professional sailing boat.
Never.
Because
Well, I've
this
never
is
been
a
on
professional sailing boat.
It's a professional sailing boat.
Yeah.
Okay, well we better become professional sailors then.
We better. Yeah.
Great. Okay,
I'm
cool.
keen.
Right, front to back. What do we got, Christian?
First, the first thing that anybody can notice is the state of the deck. We've got a lot of moss and actually quite a lot of the timber is rotten. Look at that. So I think all of these superstructures will need to be ripped off and rebuilt.
And what's this bit here that you're on at the moment?
I don't know.
Don't know. Cool. Right. Great.
It's
Good intel. Well, that'll need fixing.
Yeah.
And that's where the anchor.
That's where the capstan winch
Capstan
goes
winch
for the anchor.
Thank you for the anchor.
All the caulking is kind of really brittle and basically just coming off. So the whole deck needs. That's one of the biggest jobs we're going to have, aside from any structural issues that Turk's shipyard are going to address, is getting the deck completely stripped back, sanded, recorked, oiled, and made right. And then obviously all these superstructures before we come to putting masts in and sails and rigging.
I think it's just a lot of big main jobs, aren't there?
There's a lot of big main jobs.
Great. What's this thing? Looks like you tie stuff around it.
Yeah, remember, I've never done any sailing, but this is clearly where all the running rigging is attached to. So this boat was designed without any automation whatsoever. It's all block and tackle, and basically elbow grease, heaving the sails up by hand and then tying them to this thing. We should probably maybe go and do some sailing.
Yeah.
Find something that'll teach us the basics.
Well, I think we need to go
know.
find someone with a gaff rig ketch who's going to help let us get on board and have a look at the
Yeah, if
thing.
anybody watching has a gaff rigged ketch of a similar size, we would love to have a little bit of experience.
That's 76 foot.
Main mast goes in. So on a gaff rigged ketch, you've got a main mast and a mizzen. The mizzen goes on the back, and that's the only real key difference between a schooner and a ketch is the location of the main masts. On the ketch, the main mast is on the front, and on the schooner, the main mast is on the back. So that is the thickest end of the mast. So you can see it's probably about 50 centimeters, a bit less, maybe 45 centimeters in diameter. The main mast is about proportionate to the length of the boat, plus obviously the depth.
So
of
76 plus 8, 84 feet.
84 feet, I think.
Gosh, that's a big old tree,
Yeah.
that is. These things, dysfunctional life
Those are
rafts.
dysfunctional life rafts, which
Should we chuck it in and see if it works?
if it doesn't work, we'd be polluting the marina.
Yeah, I mean, if you've looked down the side of the boat, I don't think we'd be adding
Adding much.
That's not.
But I think-
That's a drop in the ocean mentality, and that's not okay, is it?
No.
Every little helps.
Every little helps.
We're stewards of the ocean now, Christian. so-
We are. Yeah.
Cool.
We're protectors of marine life.
Yeah.
And I think Paul Bew would like these. So I think we should basically donate these to Paul.
Okay.
Who runs City Sailing, his sail training company.
The original skipper,
The original skipper.
the guy that sailed this thing across the Atlantic in 1992.
He's going to teach us how to sail.
Yes,
I think we should donate these to him.
but they don't work.
But he said he might find use to them. As in,
Okay.
for training.
Well, you get right ornaments. So this hatch leads down into
The galley.
the galley. Yes, the galley.
Yeah.
Is that the kitchen?
That's the kitchen.
It's the kitchen. Yeah, that's the galley. So this here is where all the crew can sit down whilst whoever's at the helm is at the helm and having a jolly old good time. At the back here, you see that the boat sort of tapers off and then is a flat back. What we want to do at Turks is to see if it's possible to extend it into a sort of semicircle at the back to include a little bit more seating at the back there.
So one of the biggest issues this boat faces is rust. So you can see kind of steel flakes off and kind of almost looks like iron ore in the end. But all this is pretty bad. So all of this is going to have to be stripped out. The boat has these are the lifting points, the hull. And again, there's a lot of corrosion around there. Whether or not this is now strong enough to lift the boat, I don't know.
How much does the boat weigh?
46 tons unladen, without the mark. Basically, as she is, probably about 46. We're going to strip her back. All this is going to come off. Any ancillary, anything that's bolted down to the deck is going to come up. I think this might be beyond repair. That is completely gone. I'm quite big. You're not small. So we do want a little bit of comfort.
Yeah, that is retro. Look at the state of that. Yeah. So in terms of upgrades, what are we talking about here? Because obviously, like you said, the boat is completely analog, basically. Like there's no, in terms of navigation, in terms of the sails, in terms of anything, there's no winches. For the only winch on the whole boat was for the anchor.
The anchor, yeah, that was the only electric winch.
We want to be real purists about it, basically.
I mean, talking to Paul Bew, he thinks we should really get her back to her original state, which is raw sailing.
Yeah.
No nonsense.
Yeah.
Just kind of,
I'm totally up for that with all of the sails and everything.
Because we can always update her later stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe start by, the basics, get her to the point where because we want to learn. We don't want to be like the Americans, kind of learning how to drive with an automatic car.
You're about to alienate 350. Do you drive stick? Just sail stick? Cool. I'll fix it in post.
Yeah. Luckily, you're good at
Americans,
editing.
if you're listening, we do really like you.
Yeah, we do.
Love your work.
But yeah, I think we want to get her back originally to her authentic state and learn how to sail this boat as she was intended, which is the old-fashioned way. Block and tackle and blood, sweat and tears. The Marine Guild are proud to be sponsors of the Greater Manchester Challenge.
Oh, well, that's very unlucky. No wonder the person who called it Sonstagting got arrested, because you cannot, according to old law, marine law, LORE, that if you want to change the name of a boat, you have to get absolutely every piece of equipment, relic, sign, whatever, off the boat that has the original name on before you can purge the boat of its original name and then give it the new one, offering all libations to Poseidon. Yeah, this plaque here says the Greater Manchester Challenge, which is the original name of the boat, which is why we're calling it the Greater Man Challenge, raising awareness for men's mental health. So the guy that owned this boat had some bad luck. He got caught for smuggling, people smuggling, not in this boat, but people smuggling into the country, and got arrested and put in prison.
For on this little nameplate, because I quite like the authenticity of it, and it's made of brass. Maybe we could machine cross the Chester out and inlay that as like a metallic cross, just in Chester.
Yes.
So that we still have an ode to the fact that it was Manchester.
Yeah.
So we don't alienate Mancunians who might be watching this. We have nothing.
We hope you are.
We have nothing against
We're coming to Manchester because we want to come and interview and talk to some of the people who were on this boat originally.
Yeah.
So down in here, this is the captain's quarters. So it's quite dark and dingy in here at the moment. But look, there's the original chair. There's a safe over there. Is there anything in the safe?
No, I checked.
No, okay. Oh well.
Nope. Nuts and bolts. That's quite worrying. I wonder where that belongs.
Yeah, I think that might be the least of our worries. Right, take a seat, Captain.
Yeah.
So we are here in the captain's quarters at the back of the boat. I have to say, likely you're probably not going to get called captain very much on the trip, so make the most of it now, Christian. There is a Nice.
Nice.
Heavy smoker.
And a very used first aid kit.
So yeah, this is basically where you can see all of these little notes up on the back here. Tiny little window at the back that goes out to the helm.
Yep.
And the little seating area out the back. The bed, still got some. It's a decent sized double, that actually. Portholes. We were wondering actually, which do open. Christian was like, I wonder if we can get ones that actually open to the water, and then we established that was probably a
sealed shut.
really terrible idea to have portholes on the side of a boat that open up to the sea, because well, oh wait a minute, what's in here? Oh no way! There are 2 loos on the boat. Look at that.
Oh,
there's the captain's Kazi. Excellent. It's genuinely exciting, because the idea of being on a 22-day crossing across the Atlantic with 12 guys.
Hey, this opens.
Oh my god, it does open.
Okay.
There we go.
It's very rusty.
Very rusty.
But it has these beautiful old original bronze fittings. So they're good quality. I mean, you can see someone's begun ripping things apart, whether it's to check electrics or whether because they wanted to actually see what was behind it.
And here at the back, you've got the original mast as well, the back mast.
That's the mizzen mast.
The mizzen mast.
That's where that goes. Through here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good lord.
But yeah, all steelwork is in good nick above here. It's all looking down there, there's no rust at all. But we need to take all of this off because I can see the stainless steel bolts for any rigging attachment points on deck.
Okay. Okay. And down here is a couple more berths. Or one berth. No one's sleeping up there, are they? No, you can't fit up there. There's a bed.
Yeah.
So that's
berths.
one berth down at the bottom.
One berth.
One berth at the bottom. And then we go down. Oh! This is a little bit of a death trap, if I'm honest.
So I'm going to open this where the engine bay is.
Oh yeah.
God, whoever had this last is very messy.
There she blows.
There's the Gardner 6-cylinder diesel engine, which is basically imperishable. Now the crankcase is underwater, as you can see. We believe that is rainwater from water ingress from obviously being open to the elements for so long. And that hasn't risen at all, so there's no leak in the boat itself.
You stick a finger in it and taste it.
It's for seawater.
See if it's salty.
I'm alright. It's got a 6 battery bay. There's quite a bit of electrics down here, and there's a ledger battery down there. This is a Victron battery charger. Whether that can be, if that can be revived, then that's great. And we've got a Studer inverter, which again a very good brand. Wow. Yeah, so here's the Studer under here. We maybe want to reach out to them, and we want a really good electrician because there are wires all over the place in here.
I think the whole thing needs to be pulled out.
Back to bare bones.
Yeah,
project.
Back to blank canvas, to be honest.
So this is why I want the engine out. I want to see the state of the supports below the engine. So that I think needs to come out. So it's going to have to come out this way, which means that all of this and all of that needs to come off.
All the roof as well. Yeah.
So we can lift that beast because that's got to be 2 tons. I reckon it's a 2-ton weighing engine, judging by the lump of it. And it was serviced by Gardner, I think in 2018, and it was given a clean bit of health. But I'm more worried about the engine bay beneath it. So I think we want to pull the engine out and satisfy ourselves that there's no perforating rust beneath.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah. But she still looks. I mean, you know, the old patina on the engine is still there. That kind of whether it's black paint or whether it's just the casting colour. But that the engine looks amazing. Well, the good news is the water level hasn't risen since the last time we were here a few weeks ago.
It's because it hasn't rained.
That's because it hasn't rained. But that's always good news.
So yeah, you can see all of that water down there.
It's rainwater.
Yeah, that's rainwater. There's no salt in there.
Good lad.
A lot of diesel though. The galley. So this is where. Here, I'll hold that. I'm going to get in there. You,
Probably the cleanest place on the boat.
bit of David Beckham's whiskey.
Oh, there's still stuff in there.
Doesn't look like whiskey though.
No.
Drinking water. Now, what I'm a little bit confused about is how. Have you ever seen, like in camper vans and in other boats, you have a gimbal system on a cooker?
Yeah.
So if the boat's sailing like that in the water and you're trying to cook, I don't know, like a red wine reduction.
You'll have to match the angle.
Yeah, just like that, because this thing doesn't tilt. It's got this big thing on top, but I think that might be, looking at that might be to hold some sort of kebab skewers.
Kebab skewers.
Look,
yeah, potentially.
it's sort of you've got 3 little runners and then 3 holes at the back.
Or
that
that
match
is some form of rudimentary gimbal system.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, I tell you what, yeah, you might be right. It might like sit on top of there like that and move
like that.
But there are 4 burners in there. Here, give me that. Look, there are 4 burners in here. You can see. But yeah, there's sort of 3 holes at the back there. If you're watching this and you know what the hell you're talking about, just drop it in the comments. We need help. But yeah, very exciting.
And that's taking quite a hit. Whoever's either angrily being kicked by some angry mariner, but some of this equipment might need replacing. But all this steel is imperishable.
It's actually it
looks all right to me.
Yeah, it's about it's reasonable size considering you're on a boat. About the same size as the kitchen I had in my rental. Spaghetti bolognese recipe. Yeah, we can make that better. That's quite basic. So this here is.
I can move in. There's a hammock here.
Great. What's that? Is that the loo?
That is no. I think that's just where you hang.
Oh, it's your coats.
Yeah,
this is the little cloakroom. Look at that. You've got a little vestibule.
I want to have a look at behind here.
This insulation is really nasty stuff. I had to clear out the back of my 608 camper van. Got eaten alive by this stuff. How's she looking, Kat?
A lot of rust. That's the paint flicking. That's flicked off, but there's a lot of rust behind it. We'll find out a lot more when we do the whole thickness test.
What have you got there? Let's have a look.
It's just a lot of flaking rust.
Yes.
So you need at least 4 millimeters of steel for the thickness to meet standards. So any lower than that, and you've got to replace a panel or overplate.
And preferably replace panel rather than overplate.
Preferably, yeah. We're not quite sure what she started as, but I'm sort of guessing the 6 or 8 millimeters plating. That is a lot. That's quite thick as well. Pure rust. Yeah. But essentially, around here is where the worst rust is. And yeah, there'll be some plating for certain that needs to be undertaken. So that's going to be one of my first jobs when I'm on here, is get rid of all of this. It might be worth getting a skip outside. Yeah, that's one of the seams where the weld is, and that's below the water line. And at least it's dry. Oh, yeah, look at that.
Don't dig too deep.
No, let's maybe stop digging.
There's
There's a pump. Yeah, submersible pump, which must have done its job because there's no rust in there. Also, the steel under here, which is a steel joist, is almost completely rotten. I can just see it from below. There was like a steel eye section, I-beam, and most of it's perished.
So we're getting into the front of the boat here, where there would have been some more berths. There's a sleeping bag down here on the floor. This in here is the Kazi, the John. We're going to need, well, now that we know that there are 2 loos. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
2 loos.
I mean, the plumbing's going to be coming out anyway.
Yeah. Right. Talk to me about the rigging.
It's galvanised, which is a good thing because it means that it can be inspected and potentially used. Even if we don't use it, it's useful because, as Matt Knight said, we can use them as templates to know exactly what length we need.
Yeah.
So it'll be useful. We're not going to get rid of it. Yeah.
Christian mentioned our good friend Matt Knight there, who we've worked with on a music festival that I produced. Matt was the subject of a documentary called Savage Waters, which you can find on Prime Video, narrated by Tywin Lannister, Charles Dance. Really amazing story about big wave surfing, sailing, and ultimately the Knight family. But yeah, really inspirational, so make sure to check that out.
And you can see the welds weren't actually that well done in the first place.
Well, the welds, wasn't it? It was done by a group of volunteers.
I can't remember the exact story, but I know that the welds had to be cut out and redone because the first go wasn't up to standards. So,
because it was built by a group of volunteers for the charity that helped develop it.
Yeah, or didn't Paul Buse say it was built by a shipyard, but they'd never done a boat this size, and they so they had to do it. They didn't have the facilities, so they had to do it out in the open.
Right.
Because of the wind and there's no shelter from the elements, the welds essentially didn't get enough argon, they weren't up to scratch. A couple of big holes in the hull where daylight's shining through.
Say that again.
There are a couple of big holes in the hull over there where you can see daylight shining through.
Oh, yes.
Luckily above the waterline. And that means that the hull there would have been quite brittle for that to just poke a hole rather than tear a hole.
Yeah.
Which again is a worry.
See all of the woodwork that the deck is built upon. You have that's steel. That
Steel
is.
structure, marine ply.
Steel structure, marine ply, wooden joists.
And then teak decking over the top.
Yeah.
So these were the original block and tackle used to hoist any sails, any rigging. So as we discussed, we're going to be putting the boat back to its initially back to its original sailing state, which is quite rudimentary and analogue.
How much money do you think we're going to need?
300 grand.
300 grand. Matt did say whatever your budget and timeline
Double
are, double both. So
yeah, double both.
I think the initial fundraising, which includes covering the restoration, documentation, everything like that, will be we've estimated £300,000. This is based upon talking to Turk's shipyard and having conversations with people who've worked on boats before, based upon the project.
So this is the chain for the anchor. It comes through here, through this tube from the deck, and this is very, very perished. So all this will be cut out and replaced.
Is that something Turks can do, or are they only the outside?
We'll have to discuss it with them. I mean, this is stuff that I quite fancy doing.
All right.
That's quite promising.
That is quite promising. There's some rust on the joins, but great. This can be the naughty room.
Yeah.
Where we can stick anyone who misbehaves.
Yep.
Oh god. Not the camera on the side. Ow. Right. So, in closing, Christian.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Yeah.
There you are. Great. There he is. You look very small behind me there. It's like it's not that. I've got a very big head though. You see. Come level with me just to illustrate just how big my head is.
You do have
it's a very big head, isn't it? Yeah, wide face. Babies and children really love me because I've got a wide face. Apparently, that's like a thing. Anyway, so that was the initial tour of the Greater Manchester Challenge, Sonstadkind, our boat, your boat, that we have bought and paid for, and is going into Turk's shipyard on the 1st of June to begin the hull assessment, which means now, on date of recording, this is the 18th of April 2025, we've basically got,
Call it 2 months.
Call it 2 months to
raise
raise the initial funds that we need in order to get the hull done, and the work started on that. We'll be down here documenting. Christian's going to be working on it full time. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between here and my day job, which is also doing this, but for clients rather than ourselves. And we're really excited about the project. Everyone we're talking about seems to be incredibly enthused about it, and just want to bring it back round to the fact that yes, this is sort of man does up boat, but this is also a discussion that will be weaved in throughout the whole process around men's mental health and raising an awareness for it. And now it's all very well, saying, men need to stand up and talk, and that's great, but we want to go beyond that and actually talk about the topics, the themes that sort of surround the challenges that we face in mental health and men's mental health, which of course affects everybody: brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, kids, nieces, nephews, families, friends, loved ones. It affects everybody,
and we both have a little bit of experience with aspects of mental health.
We do. We've faced our own challenges, and also, we certainly have had friends who've very sadly taken their own lives, and I don't think there's anyone out there that hasn't been touched by this topic, and it's one that's very close to our hearts. So thank you for watching. Thank you for donating if you can, and thank you for the support. And we're going to keep plugging away.
And I'll keep on updating with some little videos of the progress on the boat. Keep you guys happy.
Great. Cheers.